So I've decided to get rid of all of my BOBCAT equipment. Here's why. Let me explain it to you why we decided to get rid of all of our BOBCAT equipment. But actually, first of all, let me show you what we got. This right here is a 2015 BOBCAT E42 mini excavator. We bought it 4 years ago with around 1,500 hours on it, and it has been a very good machine for us. The only thing I've really ever had to do with it is replace 2 hydraulic lines. I broke the track a few weeks ago. The track was original from 2015, just dry rotted and it broke. So that has been replaced. I've had 1 hydraulic line I've had to replace. It was from this main boom piston right here. It goes down and under over there into the main feed for all of the hydraulics. Super easy to fix and repair. And that's about it. It's been a very good machine. We bought this back. It was the height of when COVID was going on, and it was super hard to get equipment, and used equipment was getting hard to find, and prices were going up. When we bought this one, we got it for a really good deal. The guy was selling it for pre-COVID prices because he had bought it before COVID hit and prices were going up. So I tried to get a new track put on at the time, and he was like, I know this price that I'm selling it for is really good. Used equipment right now, prices are stupid. He's like, but I bought this one before COVID, so I'm selling it pre-COVID pricing. So that's the reason we were able to get such a good deal on this, and he wouldn't do anything extra to it. And I don't blame him. I was just trying to see what we could get done. So this is a E42, which is a 9,000 pound excavator. It's done a ton of work for us here on the homestead. We use it to put in our own septic system. Me and Gina did that by ourselves using our E42 in our 574 TYM tractor. We put in an underground spring system feeding all of our outside pastures out here with hydrants. It's done an awesome job for that. We used it for building our harvest house up there. All of the dirt work was done with this. We've used it for our road, for replacing culverts when they need to be replaced. We used it for putting in all the dirt work and final grade for our workshop. And we've used it for doing the final grade of the barn, the barnyard, lower pasture, fixing ditches back here, putting in our addition. We've been using it for that. There's so many projects we've used the E42 here. This is definitely like an essential tool on our homestead for us. We are building our dream off-grid homestead here in the woods on a large piece of property that we bought that was completely wooded when we bought it. Just the only thing I had is a couple of ponds and a road going up. Everything else was wooded. We've been working on having some areas logged, making pasture, and the E42 has done a lot of that work for us. So it has done a ton of work. One of the things we want to do is we want to be able to upgrade to a bigger machine. The 9,000 pound machine is a good sized machine, but it's not big enough. For us personally in this area, we don't have the best dealer service on a BOBCAT. It's kind of hard to get these things serviced, and a lot of the parts on the BOBCAT are proprietary to BOBCAT. So when you want to get a fuel filter, you got to get a BOBCAT fuel filter. So if you don't have a local dealer, you got to order them and wait. There's just little things like that that kind of makes it a pain with the BOBCAT. If you live somewhere and you have awesome dealer service, they're probably perfect for you. But up here, that's one thing I have learned, that the dealer service end of it isn't the greatest. And dealer service is a huge thing when you have equipment, in my opinion. We have the TYMs and we have great service with the dealer that we deal with them, SR1. They've been great for anything we need, and you can get filters and stuff like that for them right at Napa. So that is a huge convenience. I don't like having to get stuff from the dealer or order it online from bobcat.com and not be able to get silly stuff right off the shelf at a parts store. If something breaks and you want to fix it and you can't, and you got to wait a couple of days or a week to get a part in, yeah, that's not fun at all. A couple of key features on the BOBCAT E42 that I love and I could not live without is the thumb. I could not imagine having an excavator without a thumb. Another big one is not all excavators come with this either, is we have our blade on it that goes up and down. But not only does this blade go up and down, but it's got an angle blade on it, so it'll go side to side. And that has been very versatile. It is huge for putting roads in. If you're gonna have a dump truck driver dump gravel for you while you're doing a road, you can angle your blade and you can spread the stone nice and even and get an awesome job done. So if you're gonna get a mini excavator, I highly recommend getting one with a tilt blade on it. You don't just want one that goes up and down. If you can tilt it, awesome. So you want a 4-way blade. They make a 6-way blade, but the only company that I've seen that has a 6-way blade is Kubota. But that is really good because you can set the grade up and down. So if you're putting a road in, you can set your angle of the grade of the road that you need, and it comes in really handy. It makes the machine so much more versatile having a 4-way blade on the front. I just find it invaluable. So this machine now has 2,065 hours on it. One of the ways I justify having a mini excavator on the homestead is it pays for itself. We have done a ton of projects with it. I'm sure I haven't listed off all of them, but if you think about it, just putting in your own septic system using this piece of equipment, that alone paid for this machine, the money that we saved by not having to hire somebody to do the septic system for us. Then we did the site work for the harvest house. I also forgot we put in our solar system with this, our solar array. We put that in with this. We had to use a lot of screw anchors in the ground. We were able to use the E42 to install the screw anchors. I bought a post hole digger that goes on the front of an excavator, and then we were able to screw in our anchors into the ground that way. We dug all the trenches to run the power lines to the harvest house. We did all of the grade work for the harvest house, put in the driveways with it, the septic, the water lines, all of the building site down here. The list goes on and on and on. So the machine has been paid for from doing all those projects. So a mini excavator, if you have a lot of work to do, will pay for itself pretty quickly. The other piece of BOBCAT equipment that we're going to be selling is our BOBCAT Toolcat. This is a 2015 BOBCAT Toolcat with a snowblower on the front of it. We bought this 2 years ago, and we used it for snow blowing. I thought it was going to be a very versatile piece of equipment on our homestead, and it just hasn't been as versatile as I thought it was going to be. If you've never seen a BOBCAT Toolcat before, what it is, it's a side-by-side and a tractor and a skid steer all in one. It's pretty cool what they can do, but at the same time, it doesn't fit our needs like I thought it was going to. I don't know if it's because we're off in the woods that we just don't find that we use it as much, or what it is. But we don't use this piece of equipment a lot. It has 4-wheel drive, it has 4-wheel steer, so all these tires will turn. It's got a regular loader on the front. It has high flow on it like a skid steer does, so you can use post hole diggers, you can use a snow blower right on the front. You can put a mower on the front of it, you can put a brush mower on the front, you can put a flail mower on the front. So the front operates like a regular tractor does. You got up, not only do you have that cool feature, you also have a dump bed. I thought it was going to be something that we used all the time on the homestead, but we just haven't. We have our TYM tractors, and everything that this can do, those can do, except for having the hydraulic power to the front of the implement. And that's one of the main reasons why I bought them. Like, okay, we're going to be using it for snow blowing. I'm going to get a brush hog for the front of it. I'm going to get a mulcher for mulching up stuff. I just never did. I just never felt like it would do those jobs for us the way I wanted them done. It sits around more often than it gets used, and they aren't cheap. This is like the same price as a skid steer, but luckily we bought this one used, and when we got this one, I don't know how we did, we got a really good price on it. That's one of the reasons why I picked it up. I'd been looking for Toolcats for a while, and I've been going through and seeing the prices they were going for, and this one popped up for sale, and I was like, man, this is a deal. We need to score it and pick it up. So that being said, we are getting rid of it, and we're not losing out at all on this machine. The money that we put into it, we're getting back, plus a little bit more. So if you can buy your equipment right, even though you use it, you're not going to lose any money. You're just going to be smart about the equipment you buy and what you pay for it. And that's what we've been able to do with these two pieces of equipment, which is really awesome. And I feel very fortunate that we've been able to do that. I wanted a Toolcat for a long time. Luckily, I waited to get this one because we got a good price on it, and we just don't use it. So it's time to trade everything in and get rid of the BOBCATs and get something new. And I am excited for that. Another cool little feature on this is the all-wheel steer. Let me show you how that works. As you can see, the all-wheel steer is really cool because you can turn in really tight areas. You can back up with it. You can get it to do crab walking for you. It can do a lot of stuff. I thought we would have used this a lot more, and we just don't. So instead of having it sitting around and not using it, we're going to be getting rid of this one and the E42. You guys will have to stay tuned to see what we get. It's kind of a hard thing to get rid of the Toolcat. It's a cool piece of equipment. We just don't use it. And I hate having equipment sitting around that you don't use a lot. I don't know. So yeah, it's time to let somebody else have fun with this piece of equipment because it can be fun. I just wish we could have used it more. I don't know why. It's just, I don't know. We just don't use it a lot. I don't know. Have you guys ever had a piece of equipment and you're like, oh, I love this thing, but we don't use it. It sits around. I can use that money for something else. And that's what we're doing. So it's hard. I don't like to get rid of it. So yeah, it's one of those things. It's like, we need to get rid of it because we don't use it, but it's kind of a cool piece of equipment. You don't see them every day. I don't know. Maybe someday I'll get another one. Probably not. But you never know. I don't think so. We have a Can-Am Defender that we use as our side-by-side, and that thing rides so nicely. This thing rides more like a piece of equipment. And one of the things I had planned for this when we originally bought it, I was like, man, I'd love to put tracks on this and use this as a groomer in the wintertime. And when I started to try to find tracks for it, they're fairly expensive if you can find them. And we've got tracks for our Can-Am Defender, and that works out so much better. We can have 4 people in there. Actually, we can have 6 people in there. We have heat, we have air conditioning. It's quieter when it's running because it's a gas motor, and it rides so much smoother. So that was kind of one of the things too about this. I'm like, oh, I can use this as a groomer. And that just didn't work out either. So we need to clean these out. I put a new track on the E42. So I had some extra grease in here because I didn't know if I was going to need more grease. Got a bunch of dirty rags. I need to put the track tensioner cover back on because I left that off to make sure that the track was tight. I don't have to keep taking it on and off because I already done that a bunch of times. This machine's all greased up. I greased it up last time we used it, so it's good to go there. Let me clean out the inside because I'm sure I got a lot of junk in this piece of equipment. We've been using this for quite a few years, and I'm pretty bad with stuff like that. I'm kind of curious to see what we find in here. One dirty rag, that's nothing. A dryer sheet. I don't know about you guys, but what I do is I load, if I remember, I try to load all of my equipment up with dryer sheets this time of the year to help keep the mice away. I stick them all inside the cab, the motor compartment. The other side has another compartment, and that's where the ECU is, the hydraulic lines. So I stuff it with dryer sheets because I was always told that mice do not like the smell of them. So I need to make sure I do that with all the tractors this year too, because we don't want mice in our stuff. But let's see what else we can find in here. I know there's got to be some things. We've got some work gloves, some bolts, more dryer sheets. Ew. Here's an old sweatshirt. Dang. I think that's been in there for a couple of years. I was wondering where that sweatshirt went. What do you think? It probably stinks. It's been in there for a while. It's pretty sun faded. Yep, I think the mouse find it though. Time to get rid of it. You smell some mice? Get rid of that. What else do we got in here? Got a water bottle. Some more rags. Believe it or not, it has the original operation and maintenance manual in the back. Safety manual. This one's the operational and maintenance manual. So that's kind of cool. I'll keep that in there. So the next person who gets it, they have the original manuals. It even still has the original operator's handbook. Telling you what all the functions are for it. I'm not sure how many pieces of equipment that are from 2015 still have all that stuff. All right, let's get, I'm actually surprised that's all that was in there for junk. That's a good tube of grease. I'll bring that in the shop. We got our cover. Brutus, leave it. And our bolts. Down here is, you open that up and you can change it over so your controls work the opposite direction. I gotta remember to give them the keys for the gas cap. It's got a locking gas cap on it. All right, so let's put our cover back on. This is where you would get in to grease it for your track tensioner. Wow. Brutus sees the wild turkeys. Go get them then. Perfect. So there is a plastic grill that goes here. I still have it right here. Is the fuel filter. This fuel filter right here is a pain in the butt and they're expensive. This is BOBCAT only. You can't get an aftermarket one. If I remember correctly, they're around $100 for the fuel filter. It's got a fuel separator built right into it, but $100 from this thing and you can only get it from BOBCAT seems a little ridiculous to me. But I still have the grate. I'll have to grab it. I just took it off because it falls off a lot of the times. So instead of having to worry about losing it and not knowing where it is, I just took it off. Well, while I was researching what these pieces of equipment are selling for right now, I had seen a lot of them with it in, and you could see bolts right here and here. So I'm like, that's a common issue. So they bolt them on instead of just having the clips hold them in. So yeah, I remember to send that with it. See what we've left inside the Toolcat. We got rags, gloves, earplugs, an extra lug nut, we'll leave that, a Torx bit, not sure what that's from, cap, some tighteners for tire chains. Hi, quit it. I'll probably send the tire chains with it. I don't think we have anything over here. If you're curious to see what the inside of a Toolcat looks like, let me show you. You got 2 bucket seats. You have your lever right here for throttle. You have this lever right here. Down is to lower your dump, up is to raise it. You got 2 cup holders, a little tray. Must be a bunch more toggle switches if you need them. You have your lock right here. This is just for front steer. You flip this backwards and now you have all 4 wheels steering. You have your high flow for your front hydraulics. This light lets you know what mode you're in for steer. You have your main control that raises and lowers your front attachment. And these are the buttons back here. Back here there's a trigger that turns on your high flow. This operates your different controls. This button right here turns your hydraulics on. You have work mode, your speedometer. And then for a safety lock, you have your armrest, kind of like on an excavator. You got to put your armrest down for anything to work. This is the same. You got to put this armrest down and it takes the brake off and it allows you to use your bucket and it allows you to move forward and back. If you don't have this down, your parking brake's stuck on and you can't use any parts of the equipment except for the dump bed. It has a bunch of lights on the outside. You got your headlights. You got auxiliary lights up high. On the back, you have more auxiliary lights up high. You got your fuel tank. The motor is in the middle here, under the bed. And yeah, that's about it for the Toolcat. Another one of the reasons I don't like the Toolcat is there's not a lot of ground clearance. We have 8 inches. And being up here in the woods, 8 inches of ground clearance is not very friendly on a farm. I have had some issues with that. I've gotten hung up on a snowbank trying to snow blow, and it's not any fun. So if they had more ground clearance, it would make it a lot more user-friendly. One other thing I learned about BOBCAT, on the attachments, you have to have BOBCAT compatible attachments. So like with the snowblower, it has to be BOBCAT snowblower because the computers will not work with an off-brand of snowblower. So like most skid steers, you can hook up any implement to it, like an attachment. If you're going to be using a brush hog and it's computerized, you can just plug it in. Well, the BOBCATs have their own little special plug end. So if you don't have the right end to it, it doesn't work. It's completely different than Caterpillar, John Deere, just any other piece of equipment. you have to get it specific for Bobcat. I learned that the hard way. I bought the snowblower separate, used from another dealer. When I went to go put it on, the plugs didn't line up. And I'm like, what the heck? So I bought just a new plug end. I'm like, okay, somebody had to change the plug end out. And that still didn't work. There is a computer back here, right there, that somebody took off because the Bobcat equipment uses a computer that runs from the equipment to the computer inside the Toolcat or whatever Bobcat equipment you have. And it has to be comparable to that. So you can only use Bobcat attachments on a Bobcat. So if you want to buy anything aftermarket, you got to at least make sure that it's Bobcat compatible. And a lot of the stuff that I found is not. So you have to buy Bobcat attachments if they have any of the functions that need to have electronics running them. I found that very disappointing. So if you're going to be buying a Bobcat, know that when you get into it, that when you get a Bobcat, you got to get Bobcat things for it, and only Bobcat. So that is why we're getting rid of our Bobcats. I am excited to be getting the new equipment. These guys are going to be leaving shortly. All right, we're getting rid of the Bobcat equipment. They're here to pick it up. It is leaving. There they go. I am sad to see the equipment go, but I'm excited to see the Bobcat equipment go at the same time. They did drop off the new equipment. It's right over here, but I'm not going to show you yet because this video is getting long enough, and I want to play with this a little bit first before I show you what we're getting and go over it. So that way at least I know what I'm talking about better than just showing you a piece of equipment that I have no clue about. So yeah, I am excited for the new equipment. I hope you guys are too. Let me know your thoughts. Do you like Bobcat? What's your favorite piece of equipment? My biggest thing I don't like about Bobcat is our dealers around here we haven't had any good luck with. And the other big one is a lot of their parts and pieces are proprietary. So a lot of the attachments, if you're gonna put an attachment on the front that is electronic, it's gotta be Bobcat. You can't use any aftermarket equipment on there if it needs electrical stuff because it needs to have the right plugs and it's got to have a little computer on it to run with Bobcat. If you're working with any other brand and you're hooking something up, it doesn't have to be Bobcat compatible. So when you're going to buy a piece of equipment for it, it's a lot cheaper to buy aftermarket than it is to have to buy factory. So I didn't like that. I learned that after I had bought it. And hey, life lessons. That's how you learn. You learn by doing and failing. And I just try to shrug those off as life lessons. It's a learning skill. Now I know. And I won't get a Bobcat again. But this is where we're going to end this video. I'm going to go do some playing with the new equipment. We'll put that video out in a little bit once I get a couple of hours under my seat. But yeah, I'm excited for that. I hope you guys are too. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up, share, subscribe, and we'll see you right back here in the next video. Brutus says, have a good one. Bye.